Hey guys, welcome back to the Boston Chris podcast. And if you're new, I would love to earn your subscription or follow with this brand new episode with singer-songwriter, recording artist, and producer Sean McConnell. Now, Sean is coming on the show to basically let us know about his upcoming concert at the Bowery stage here in my neck of the woods in Winnsboro, Texas, on March 7th. So if you are in the 903 or Northeast Texas, make sure you get your tickets to that incredible show, March 7th, 2026, 7 p.m., and there will be a ticket link in the description down below. So make sure you come out and say hi, not only to Sean, but say hello to us as well. We'll be there also. Now, we got into it with Sean on many different topics today, and it was an incredibly insightful and candid conversation that we had with Sean here on the show today. We talked about him being a second-generation musician and how that had an effect on him as an artist later on. We spent a lot of time talking about not only the title track to his newest record, but the entire record in general called Skin. You guys definitely need to check that out. It has been 25 years or so since Sean started as a kid recording albums, and we really talk in depth about the evolution of his projects over time, how being a husband and a father has changed his content. We talk really very quickly about a friend of mine and his as well, somebody he produced, singer-songwriter, an incredible artist in his own right. Zach Maberry is here on the show. And incredible conversation and insightful part of this show is when Sean talks about being the writer of his songs and the producer of his songs, and kind of the pros and cons of that dynamic here on the show. I'd really love for you guys to hit that like button if you guys are enjoying the show, and if you want to see more content like this, you can of course subscribe or follow. Comment down below where you're tuning in from, and make sure you're following along with everything Sean has going on. SeanMcConnell.com is where you can check it out. It's in the description below. Without any further ado, let's get into it with the one and only Sean McConnell.
It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. Until we all lose connection.
Hey, this is Gary Nicholson. Thanks for tuning in to the Boston Chris Show.
Guys, it is Sean McConnell week here on the Boston Chris podcast, and we do a lot of promo and stuff for a venue that's close to me in Winnsboro, Texas, called the Bowery, and Sean is coming to the Bowery in a couple of weeks. This comes out on February 27th, so it'll literally be like 9 days, I think, until Sean is here in East Texas. So, number one, y'all need to get your tickets. But I want to get Sean to talk about what we can expect from a show from Sean McConnell. It's a very intimate show, isn't it, Sean?
Yeah, I mean the show's very, depending on if it's a full band or acoustic or what's going on. But yeah, no matter what the scenario is, my goal is always to put on, the very best show I can that night. And recently that just involves a lot of the new songs off of Skin, a lot of the old songs that people show up hoping to hear, and a lot of stories in between. That's kind of my style.
Do you happen to know if this particular show is full band or acoustic?
You've kind of caught me on that one. I was in my mind just trying to remember, and I can figure that out. But,
I bet you it's acoustic. They're usually pretty intimate. It's a listening room environment, so
yeah, I would imagine it's acoustic then,
yeah.
if that's the case. Yeah.
I imagine it probably is, but either way, you guys need to come see the show. We're going to put a link in the show notes in the description down below to get your tickets. We will be there as well. Be my first time meeting Sean in person, although this is the second time we've chatted with Sean on the show. I was just telling him off air, it's been almost 10 years. 2017 was our last discussion with Sean, and We really got into like the nuts and bolts of who he is and what and how he came to be in that episode. So if you guys want to check that out, we'll also put that in the description below. Kind of date us to a different time and place in a different world. But we love to tell the stories behind the songs on this show as well. So I would love to include a live performance of Skin, which is the title track of your latest record. Tell us about this song and how it came to be, Sean.
Yeah, Skin was it obviously ended up being the namesake of the record, and it was the first song that I really felt like was an anchor and let me know that there was a record kind of building itself around that song. It wasn't the first song that came along, but it was, the first in that collection that really started letting everything find its place. And so that song has a real special place in my heart for that reason. And it's just a song that came out of traveling a lot and thinking about my family. And I had these kind of, the cover of the record is based on this collection of tattoos that I keep when I'm on the road and think that, I might get one of these someday. And I always get like the bug to get a tattoo on the road, and then I always chicken out and never do it. But when I'm gone and I'm feeling kind of lost in the world or missing home, and I think about that song talks a lot about symbols and signs, and a lot of them have to do with my wife or my daughter or my faith. And so that song is a lot about being anchored in yourself and who you are and the mystery of that. And I don't know, it's a hard one to encapsulate, but it's one of my favorites on the record.
I just want to feel at home in my skin. There's no peace without if there's a war within. There's no rest that I can see when you're your own worst enemy. It almost took me 40 years to figure out that the call was coming from inside the house. The greatest lie the devil tells is that he is someone else, and we die swinging at a ghost instead of looking in ourselves. So cover me in tattoos on my ladies' names, symbols that remind me when I lose my way, that heaven is not just a place we go someday. It's not far away. It's hiding in plain sight, covered in skin. So if there's something in my soul you need to save, it's to know that we're the ocean, not the wave. There are times that I feel free and it washes over me. So cover me in tattoos on my ladies' names, the symbols that remind me when I lose my way, that heaven is not just a place we go someday. It's not far away. It's hiding in plain sight, covered in skin. Oh yeah. I was born with an old soul, forgot how to get home. Comes back in glimpses, like a dark-room picture. I remember as I burn, and I learn as I unlearn, and unlearn, and unlearn. Cover me in tattoos on my ladies' names, symbols that remind me when I lose my way, that heaven is not just a place we go someday. It's not far away. It's hiding in plain sight, covered in skin. Oh yeah, skin.
Do you feel like, I guess a good follow-up here would be, you know, with being a husband, being a father, being a child of God, all of those things, and kind of realizing those different roles and falling into them as you get older. Do you feel like that's changed your content?
Yeah, I mean, it is my content, I suppose. And as I change, it changes, and I think that's a big part of my, looking back on my 14 or 15 records. It's kind of hard to not see that in every record, the search for what those answers are, and I almost feel like I don't find many answers, or I have just enough to kind of navigate a little bit, and I feel like this record specifically feels a lot like that, probably because of, you and I both have a lot more gray in our beards than the last time we spoke, a little
That's
more
right.
life under our belt. So yeah.
Yeah, and the record as a whole, I mean, you talk about the search, right? The search for answers. The record as a whole has a lot of mystery in it, right? Like there's a lot of mysteriousness to the record and trying to find the answers to different things. And that's the thing that really stood out to me as your latest release is it's very family centric. It's very, you can tell where Sean is at this era of his life. Talk a little bit about the evolution. You talked about 14 or 15 records, and I mean, you were releasing records as a kid. I mean, let's keep it real. So what's the evolution? What's the evolution like for you? Like looking back at all of that time between all of these records.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like a younger version of when you see like a 90-year-old saying they feel like they're like 20. I don't feel like I've done that many records. Actually, I don't feel like I've played as many shows as I have because I'm constantly still working at it and trying to find the next thing and the new thing, and I don't look back often. But like, for example, we released a 15th anniversary of a record called Saints, Thieves, and Liars this year and we put a vinyl out to kind of celebrate it, and that just blows my mind that record is that old. It's crazy. I feel really, I feel fortunate and blessed and lucky in my career that I am still doing it and that people care and that I get to go out and do shows and make a living for my family. And so looking back on that, I have a lot of gratitude.
Yeah, and I have that as in my notes as well. The new vinyl that's out for the Saints, Thieves, and Liars, which was in my opinion, a monumental record for you. It's I think 2009 or 2010 that came out, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
2010.
how have those songs kind of grown over the years? Because I know you still play quite a bit of them in a live environment.
Yeah, there's probably like 4 of them that never really left the set list, or at least left the
Right.
rotation. Every time I play like really old songs, I mean, there's a couple of songs that I kind of play as you would expect. But these days, if we're going to do a song that is like really old, or I just feel like personally, I've played it too many times for it to entertain myself, especially with my new band, we're finding really fun ways of, and just injecting a new energy into it. And, but yeah, there's songs like Maybe You Could Love Me Anyway off of that record that I probably have not played a night without playing that song since that record came out, or very few nights. And yeah, it just kind of feels like a staple of the set still.
Are you a songwriter and an artist that kind of marks your releases as kind of a season in your life? Like a lot of people will have a divorce record, or like I remember the space I was in when I wrote this or when I created this. Is that the kind of person you are as an artist?
I think so, at least to this point. I don't know though. I feel like there's some records that feel more of like a smattering of songs, especially earlier on, as one figures out
Less
how to make
fluidity.
yeah. or even having enough songs to choose, you know, like
Sure.
my first couple records were just, here's the 10 or 11 songs that I got, or, you know, the only good ones that I've written so far that year or something. But, you know, now as I do this and I write all the time, I feel like there's always a ocean of songs that I'm wanting to pick from, is just depending on who raises their hand and what actually starts looking like it's coming together. Um, but yeah, these days, especially with Skin and A Horrible Beautiful Dream and then Secondhand Smoke before it, those definitely feel like big, just a snapshot of exactly where I am in life, you know.
Yeah, do you feel like that fluidity is coming from just being a more prolific songwriter, or is it more like learning that the fluidity is more important and then kind of being able to puzzle piece the songs together to fit better in an album setting?
I think probably both.
Yeah.
And I think for me at least, the older I get, it seems to be that I sit in these long seasons of, you know, similarities in lyric and chords and just vibe that, like, it kind of bakes itself into, there's not many things that don't feel like they can kind of belong, if that makes sense. Well, I say that, but then I'm thinking about the recording of Skin, and there were parts of that where, like, man, how does this one fit? Does it not? And sometimes it meant the song didn't make it. I guess the short answer is there's no one way that it always works, but Skin is definitely, like, if you want to know where I'm at in my life, and even since then, obviously there's been differences and such, but it's a good snapshot of me.
Yeah, and I find that to be true a lot of the times for songwriters, especially from an internal perspective songwriter, right? Like, obviously you're going to have the capability to write songs outside your own perspective as well, but most songwriters are living experience and then recreating that in song, I feel. And I love that for you. Do you feel like there's like songs from your past that would fit great in a record that you're currently doing, right? Like maybe you're like, man, this would be great for here, but it's maybe a 20-year-old song or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I am toying with a project that would have a lot of that going on.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I do have, you know, 15 years of not only songs but demos and recordings, and so there's always that reel in my head of, oh, what song, when I do that, what songs will I put on it? And that it potentially could be sooner than later, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always that.
I mean, as a published songwriter too, I mean, you have a catalog. I mean, it's crazy big. You know, when you're a published songwriter, the catalog is huge, and like I could find like over 800 songs of yours just by doing a very quick internet search, and I know there's more than that, most likely, because that was, I think, just BMI. But so like, are you able to kind of pull from that catalog, or do you have notes for your catalog? Like, I'm sure there's songs you've forgotten about, right, that are published.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you start, you know, like you said, working in publishing or writing for a publishing company, those first 5, 6, 7 years I was writing for then Warner Chappell, you know, just like everyone else, you're typically writing 5 days a week.
Right.
And so that's a lot of songs, and those kind of numbers tend to, that's not really what I do anymore. But you do have that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I have all these, like, some, you know, sometimes great songs that'll never be heard because there's just, the wheel spins too quickly, and if it doesn't, you know, hit in a couple of, you know, whatever the window is, and then you move on and you write 100 other songs. But that is a different kind of goal and a different type of energy sometimes. I definitely still work in publishing and write with bands and artists for their records and all that, but as far as the quantity over, not necessarily quality, but sometimes quality, that just kind of doesn't jive with my process anymore, which but it's just like or I can't say every writer, for me, every season of my career, whether as an artist or as a songwriter, even if I look back and think, man, I kind of don't know if I was really in my wheelhouse when I was doing X, Y, and Z, you at least learn like that didn't feel good, or that didn't feel like it's what I do, or that does feel good. You know, so many lessons to start sculpting how I want my career to continue to look.
Isn't
Which
it
is
crazy that you can actually be miserable creating when creating is your number one passion? Like, just because it's
yeah.
so, repeat, like over and over again. I have a question for you because as a fan of yours, I look back over your career and it's pretty obvious that you're a badass songwriter, you're a badass artist, and those are two different sides of the same coin. When you're a published songwriter, are there times when you held back a song because you wanted it as an artist? That's the first part of the question. The second part of it is, was there ever a time that you had to fight for a song of your own that you were writing for the publishing company that you wanted as an artist?
No, because early on, so Alicia Pruitt is who found and signed me to Warner Chappell, and to her huge credit, she always just knew kind of who I was, what my superpowers were, where they, you know, I never felt like there wasn't a whole lot of like square peg round hole stuff going on. And also I was putting out records at the same time as I was in this publishing company.
Right.
And you know, I wasn't competing with Tim McGraw. I'm not competing with Brad Paisley or Little Big Town. So the way I always thought about it was, and the way we always talked about it was, you know, you can record anything, you put out your own version. I mean, there were a couple of times where there was like a song or two I can remember them being like, just wait a little bit because it might do this or that. And if it wasn't a song that I was really going to bat for anyways, then, you know, there's some decisions to be made. But you never when you at least have, you know, co-pub, you're never like selling away your song. I mean, unless you sell your catalog.
Right.
These are songs that I could always go back to and record a version of, and I like to feel that way about them, that they're still, you know, in the family.
Yeah, I always find that interesting when somebody is published, and especially with a very well-known firm, and they're also a very, you know, busy artist as well, putting out records. But yeah, that's a good point that, you know, you're writing for folks that are not exactly on the same vibe as you as an artist. So it makes perfect sense. Good stuff, man. So one thing I saw on your website, I don't think you do it. I think this might be a holiday thing, but you do like handwritten lyrics on there. I imagine,
Yeah.
I imagine that goes over pretty well, right?
Yeah, it's really fun. We used to do it. We kind of do focus on holidays. Sometimes we just kind of leave them up there, and I love it because you get to hear stories about, you know, the song being used at someone's wedding or why they're picking
Right.
this, and sometimes it's, you know, someone has passed away and it's a really intense story. But something about the lyric, you normally get a story with it and a little message, and I love seeing where these songs have found their homes for people in their lives.
It's going to be surreal, though, right? Like, I mean, looking back as a young kid, did you ever imagine that would be something you would ever do in your life? Like, not just writing songs, but actually literally writing them out for people that have an emotional connection to something you created.
I never did, and I never I feel like I've always and still am. I'm such a working songwriter musician. You know, I'm still waking up and I need to find the next thing for all the reasons. And I think, wow, I just totally lost my space. What was the original question?
Just how, as a kid, like imagining that you would be writing out these
Right.
lyrics for folks.
Yeah. Sorry. No, it still blows my mind, and I would say generally I'm pretty grateful and not taking much of it for granted, because I have been working at it for so long. And you know, my whole mindset from putting up a PA system when I was 15 and like a, a Buffalo Wild Wing to play my tunes because I had to, because I wanted to, because that's what, you know, lights me up, and people started to connect to it. And you know, you just keep your nose to the grindstone and you look up, and all of a sudden you know, you do have 20 years behind you, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, hearing people sing your lyrics back to you at shows is probably also a very flattering thing. Being a second generation musician, can you kind of talk about some of the things you learned from your folks that you kind of still apply in a musical setting today? kind of looking back at things?
Yeah, I mean, a huge one for me. My dad was a huge influence on me as a songwriter, and definitely was a big part of my crafting that. Um, and my parents, they played out many nights a month. I don't know, looking back, how much it would actually be, but it was often and frequent. And the kind of unconscious lesson I was learning was, when you love to do this, you just, you find your people, you get a PA system, and you find an open mic or a church or a whatever, and you just set up and you put your stuff out there and hope that people like it. And that's just what I saw my parents doing all the time, so I never questioned it.
Yeah. So Sean and I have a bit in common. We were both born in Massachusetts, believe it or not. And
Yes, we were.
Yeah, and so you're originally from a place called Athol.
Yeah.
Is that the right way
Athol.
to pronounce it? It's Athol, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I know of this place, and I think I might have mentioned this to you in the first interview, is my uncle was a world champion yodeler from Athol or Athol. Yeah. His name was Kenny Roberts, and he wrote the what do you call it? The soundtrack to a movie that Gene Wilder was a yodeler in called Yodeling.
You gotta be. Are you sure we've talked about this? I feel like I would remember this, but this is amazing.
I would be surprised if I didn't mention it to you, just based on where
Surely
you're
we
from.
must have.
But yeah, he was. You could look it up, man. His nickname was the Jumpin' Yodeler. And he was also the very first person to record and release the song Blue that LeAnn Rimes went on to make famous.
No way.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool, man. Wow.
Little trivia for folks out there. He actually had to sue Sony.
Trivia.
Yeah. He actually had to sue Sony because when LeAnn Rimes came out with that song, they were billing it as the song. Well, the song was written by Bill Mack, and it was supposedly meant for Patsy Cline, and Patsy Cline died, never got to record it. So Sony was using that as part of the promo for LeAnn Rimes when she came out, because that was her first single. And my uncle had recorded the song in the 50s on Star Day.
Oh my gosh.
So he sued them to stop them from saying all that madness, and they ended up settling. Just kind of funny.
Did they really?
Yeah. But yeah,
Nice.
he was signed to Star Day. He was a badass, but I'd be remiss without mentioning that, just based on where you're from.
Oh my gosh, of course.
Yeah, and your folks were pretty prolific in the Boston area too for folk music, which I find interesting, having grown up in that area. That country folk, Americana, which really didn't exist at the time, but that wasn't really a huge thing where we grew up, right, in Massachusetts. But your folks made a living at it for a while.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of foggy when, like, how much it was them making a living and doing it on the weekends, but it was often, and it was definitely a part of, the family income, and, babysitters coming over or us going out with them to gigs and such. But yeah, the folk music, I mean, dude, if in my house and where we were hanging around, like, that's all there was. Like, it was, I didn't know there was much more than Joni Mitchell and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Harry Chapin and Sean Colvin and James Taylor until I was, other than like Michael Jackson and the huge pop stuff that was going on when I was a kid. But yeah, they were we're in our folkies. I'm a folkie myself.
So I imagine you, like, growing up around that and seeing your folks being on stage, that's obviously going to be normal for you. When did you start kind of seeing this as being something you wanted to do on an everyday level? Was it early?
Yeah, it was pretty much as soon as I started, when I picked up a guitar, it really was kind of like a movie scene, love affair. As soon as I could make that G chord kind of ring, or even trying to get it, I was like, I'm obsessed with this. I need to do this for the rest of my life. And then like high school, middle school, high school, when I started playing out and getting feedback, from people in the audience, and then people at high school coming to gigs again and again, that's when I really started, obviously thinking I can do this. I just need to start.
That's that validation, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's
Yeah.
the inspiration to write look like for you? Because like you become a musician, obviously you're going to be playing songs that you didn't write. You don't just start writing. So, like, what's dawning on you there? Like, I want to write. I feel like saying something.
I actually never played guitar without writing. Like it all started happening at the same.
Wow.
So I mean, I was learning other people's songs for sure,
Right.
but at the same time, like as soon as I learned chords, I learned them to start writing songs.
Interesting. Were you folks writers as well?
Yeah, my dad is. Yeah.
Very cool. So I
Yeah.
mean, it was just right away. So, like, who's helping you? Are you just learning this on your own, kind of internally?
A lot of it was, like I said, my dad helped me out especially really early on, with feedback and stuff like that. A lot of it was sitting around with like VHS tapes of some of my heroes. Like David Wilcox is always a hero of mine, and he had a lot of, he was all about open tunings, and he had all these tapes on here's how to play this song with this tuning. So I would sit and watch and learn these open tunings, learn these David Wilcox songs, but then I would start using all those chords to write my own songs and figuring out that way. So it was always happening at the same time.
Man, that's awesome stuff. Because you mentioned, I mean, you just mentioned a who's who of singer songwriters from the folk scene, and I mean, it's obvious from listening to your catalog over the years that where your influences lie in that stuff. But you're also, you have a lot of acoustic style music. When do you know that it's the right time to kind of move into more of a produced sound, more of an electric sound for a project?
I think at this point in my career, I'm on this path of, I don't want to ever do the same thing twice anymore. I always want to know what's next. And that always kind of has to do with the sonic landscape as well as the songs, obviously. I don't know. It's just kind of the song always knows, the song always leads the way. And so sometimes the song will be like, I really need you to just sit down with your guitar for this one. That's what's going to really be the heart of this. And then sometimes it's like, we need to get, the best tones we can and get these cats in here and just really do this thing up. It just depends on it's song by song, really.
Yeah, I love how you keep mentioning kind of being a windshield guy and not a rearview mirror guy, always looking ahead, always looking forward and not back. But if you're always looking forward, how do you know if you're doing something a second time, or how do you know you've already done something? You know what I mean?
I guess because you know what you did before, it's kind of logged in there.
Even with
and
your
also,
proficiency of so many songs over the years, even with that, you still remember.
I mean, I generally remember. Yeah, I just feel like it's such a. I think when you really start giving way to songwriting, as a way of life, and for me, it's like it's become it's a 100% a spiritual activity as well. And when my goals continue to, what am I trying to say? I don't have to look back because I could never be so far down the road to not, wow. For a songwriter, I'm really not explaining myself here. I think, because when you're in a certain vibe or you're trying a certain thing, oh, I haven't done this. This feels different. It feels scary sometimes.
I like
it's kind of
that.
like David Bowie saying, if you're comfortable basically making the music you're making, you probably haven't found what you're supposed to be.
What a great way to
doing.
put it, man. It feels scary. I love that. Yeah, I can feel that so much. Another thing you talked about earlier in the show that I've read about you as well is about skin. I know we're kind of all over the place here today, guys, but I got a lot of questions for Sean. So,
I'm loving it.
The Skin record is really what you call a band record, and I want to kind of describe what that means, and I want Sean to expound upon it. Basically, you brought in guys that were really, really close to you, and basically members of your band to be the session players on the record. Talk about kind of why that was where you went with the Skin record as opposed to maybe a record in the past where you used studio session players.
Yeah, originally it was going to be an acoustic record or a really stripped down record. And it started with me and my engineer, Justin Tockett, who's a good friend of mine and my bass player as well. And like I said, when the song Leads the Way, we did about 4 or 5 days with the two of us. And the second round, we invited my friend Ben Allemont, who plays keys in my band and a bunch of other people's bands, has played on amazing records. So he came, it was the three of us. And then the next session, we were like, let's bring, I was playing a lot of the drums. And for a few of these, I really wanted it to be live and to have a drummer. And so we brought in Logan Todd, who I had just used on producing a record for an artist named Olivia Wolfe. And by the, fourth session, and these are all, probably a month removed from each other. It was my whole band, and we were kind of producing this record together, including a friend of mine named Taylor McCall, who's someone I was producing at the time. He hopped into the mix too. And it really became a thing it just would not have become if I had tried to just play all the instruments like I have done before, or just go in the studio with hired guns, which is fantastic as well. But it really became, in my memory and to my ear, such a tapestry of all these different brothers and sisters just bringing, exactly who they are to the record. And I think it's such a collective because of that.
Yeah, I love how this started as acoustic and it just kind of morphed and evolved, transitioned over time. Are you surprised by that as a songwriter when you bring the songs into the studio and they kind of evolve into something you weren't expecting?
Yeah. Well, it's always like, that's kind of the most fun part, is we always start with, we always laugh because we talk so much about, it should sound like this, and maybe we'll put these parameters around it, and it'll sound like this and be like this. And the reality is, you do need to plan for things, but most of it, in my experience, in the records that I've made, happens. The magic happens when it, like the song does, the collection starts telling you what it wants, and all these accidents happen that you start going down these different roads, and it kind of opens this Pandora's box. But inevitably the record knows what it wants to be, because the song knows what it wants to be. And everyone in this studio, we made it in this studio that I'm sitting in right here, walked in here and just went on that journey. It was so fun. It was my favorite record I've ever made. I have the most fond memories of it. I think back on it often.
I love how with you it's just you're just listening to the song, right? Like trying to figure out what the song wants to breathe and kind of exist in. Does the song also tell you when it's too much?
Yeah. Whether it's too much or too little, it's just the feeling of it's not it yet. It hasn't found its soul. It hasn't. It's probably like my wife's a painter. She'll step back and look at it, and it's not done, so she does another scratch and then steps back and is like, oh yeah, okay, now it's done. It knows when it's done.
What are the lessons you have to learn as a producer to know that the song is asking for that, too much or too little? Do you have to make mistakes to kind of learn those lessons?
I think you can definitely learn from trying to force something.
Yeah.
Even when I'm pretty good these days about saying, let's abandon this whole thing and start something fresh. That doesn't, even if we're pretty far into something, because I know that's what needs to happen to find what it wants to be. But, years and years past, I do look back at certain things and think, yeah, I just, I didn't know that enough yet. Like I thought it had to be this thing, and it turned out fine, but it doesn't sing like maybe something else that we really found it.
Very cool stuff.
I think you do learn that as you walk along that path, for sure.
Very cool stuff. So as somebody who's had a producer of your music in the past, you've been produced, you've also produced your own stuff. Do you feel like there's a disadvantage to producing your own songs at times?
I think the biggest disadvantage is how close you are to them.
Sure, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was another great reason why I truly welcomed the experience of this record turning into like a co-production scenario, because
Awesome.
I was definitely challenged at points, and reimagined things, at the consideration of my fellow producers. And I think it's really, when I'm producing something of my own, and I've done it 3 times now, the hardest part is separating yourself a little bit, because if I'm producing someone else, I can be very brave for them. I can be very imaginative and just go with whims that I trust. When you turn it on yourself, you do feel the okay. It's a different story.
Yeah, I feel like
So I
that
try
back and
to,
forth might be missing, right? That kind of maybe I want to use the word argumentative, but that's probably too strong of a word. But just the back and forth between two creative beings. If you're only one creative being, that doesn't work as well, I imagine.
absolutely, even down to I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago, because Justin Tockett, who we were mentioning, he came up to help me engineer another record I was producing, and I was noticing even just the smallest thing, like I'll pull up a tone. If I was by myself, I might sit there for a little too long and be like, maybe this is it, maybe this isn't it. I'm just like, hey, Toggett, this sounds like shit, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, moving on. I gotta go find something else. It's like when you trust who's in the room, and you've listened to 1,000 records together, and your tastes are on the same thing, like it moves so much faster. Just be like, I'm not crazy, right? We should not waste our time with this. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Grabbing another guitar. Even those little decisions move it along and make it more fun and more open, and it's great.
Do you ever get to the point where you miss that in the studio and it's already been put out and everything, and you're just like, what was I thinking? Or maybe you're just looking at it years later, or hear it by mistake or something.
Hear an old
Yeah,
record I've made or
something you made a long time ago where you're just like, what was I thinking that day?
Totally. Yeah. But also I love that, because it is like the timestamp thing. It's like a little image of where you were at the time. And sometimes I'll listen to an old recording of myself, and I'll be like, man, you're trying to sound cool. Like you're not like emoting an honest story. You're on this song, you're just trying to sound like a cool guy.
Yeah.
And that kind of I'm kind of glad that's there, because I kind of like that little version back there that tried that. And I learned that, that's not your thing.
That was very cool, man. Speaking of producing somebody, man, one of my favorite songwriters. I almost left him out of my outline, and I would have been so mad at myself if I had done it. But somebody you produced that I love, just an incredible songwriter, is Zach Maberry. And
oh, dude, Zach Maberry. Yeah.
Zach is a buddy, and we had him on the show last year, and I just wanted to hear you talk about Zach just a little bit.
Man. Did we talk about Zach last time we
didn't.
spoke?
I didn't know who Zach was when we chatted the first time, so.
I'm so glad you brought him up, because I haven't talked to him in forever, and I love Zach, and his story has such a special place in my heart, because I had only produced a couple of records by the time that he just cold emailed me and said, I like your records. I live in Texas. Would you consider producing a record? And he drove up and stayed at my then house for a week. I had this little upstairs area that was the studio at the time on the east side of Nashville. And the only reason I even decided to do it was because I couldn't believe his songs and his voice.
Man.
The voice memos he sent me, I would have just released those. I was so taken aback by the passion and this like mystery behind this dude from Texas. It was wild to hear these songs. And so we did him and I did that whole record, just playing everything and him singing. And I love that record, and I believe in him so much. I wonder what he's up to these days.
He's still a badass, I can tell you that.
I need to hear what he's doing. I need to catch up with him.
I hope, man, he's in East Texas, so hopefully he knows that you're coming to Winnsboro. Maybe he'll show up. You just never know.
Yeah, we need to
So
connect. We did a couple of years ago, but it was very quickly. And but yeah, Roam the Earth is the name of that record. I
yeah,
love
it
that
was
record.
incredible, man. My favorite song by him is called Wolves, and
Mm.
golly, what a record, man! Just great writer, and vocally, just out of this world.
Yeah, he's insane, the singer.
So I got to tell you, Sean, you might chuckle about this a little bit, but my favorite song of yours is "Shotgun" that you and Audra May wrote together, and
I love it.
man, Audra is such an underrated songwriter, vocalist, etc. But I
Oh,
got to tell
dude.
you, until literally 2 days ago, I had no idea that Christina Aguilera did that song on Nashville. No idea. Had no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
So I sent that to my wife because this is our song, okay? And I sent it to her by Christina, and she was like, "Who is this amateur doing our song?" I was like, "That's Christina Aguilera," and we both said at the same time, "I shit you not, the original is better." So I gotta know, man, how'd the song come to be?
That song, speaking of Audra May, who is absolutely the tops in my
Yes.
book. Um, that was the first or second song we ever wrote together, and we wrote it at a camp at Warner Chapel. Like we met through our
Okay.
publisher. Um, I had these. I can't remember if it was the chorus or the verses, but I had really loved this song, and I'd never known how to finish it. And I brought it to Audra because I just had a hunch, and we reworked the whole thing, like finished it together, found the soul of it, and like from that point on, anytime Audra was in town, we were working together and writing and recording, and I just think the world of her, and I think that song has, but by far, it's the most. Speaking of the lyrics that people order, that is the number one ordered lyric is Shotgun. People love getting married to it and dancing to it, and it just means the world.
Yeah, the next time you open up lyrics on your site, I'm probably gonna get a copy of that myself because that is our song, and man, it's just such a dope song because of the imagery in it, the way that you're comparing one thing to another. I love that in songs anyway, but man, this song is just so dope, and I had to ask the question. But yeah, when I started looking that up and just wanted to know a little bit more about it a couple days ago, knowing I was chatting with you today, and I saw that Christina Aguilera had a version of it. I was like, this can't be the same song. And then
Yeah,
I went to it, and I was like, yo, what? How did I miss this?
I know, it's wild. And Buddy Miller, her and Buddy Miller singing it during the episode, which
Right.
I always refer to as the wildest duet that there ever was. Like, who would imagine?
Yeah, and
Um,
it is good. It is good, but it's not the original.
well, I appreciate that,
Yeah,
man.
no
Thank you.
problem, man. So let's talk about the second song we're going to include here on the episode, which is my favorite song from the record, the latest record, Skin. Just because I'm a parent of multiple children that are disabled, and this song just, it's so inspiring, and I've played it for all of my kids, and they love it too. The song's called The West Has Never Won. We talked about how your content may have changed from being a father and a husband, and this is a good example of that, huh?
Yeah, it is. Have we talked about that a lot as well, about your children?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so either. I'd be curious to hear some of y'all's story. Um, yeah, The West Is Never One is a straight up the song for my daughter, and sometimes when I'm playing it live, I'll tell the story of. I have no idea how to explain this, but as I was writing it, before the lyrics even came to me, I had this kind of vision as I was strumming of my daughter, who's now 15 years old, on top of a horse, just riding, kind of sauntering through a desert with a smirk on her face, like, um, I know the truth and no one can steal it from me. It was kind of the energy I was getting. And as I wrote the song and thought about, you know, my daughter is a wise, wise, wise soul. I feel very much like a student a lot of the time that I'm with her. I was thinking with this song, what can I wanted to write her a song, and I wanted what could I offer her? What words could I say that would actually, sing something to her that would, I don't know, some give her something to hold on to. And the thing that kept coming across my spirit was just remind her that she knows the truth and that no one can take that from her, no matter what she hears or people say ever. um that the beauty that she is and that she radiates, and this natural joy that is in her is what is real and true and beautiful, and that it's what's most important in life, and all the other stuff is, you know,
So here's the
just
real question. I have helped raise 3 teenage daughters. They're no longer teenagers. The question that I really want to know as a former dad of 3 teenage daughters is, did the song make you cooler to her?
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm somehow still in the cool club with my daughter.
Dude, how are you doing that?
I don't know, but she's, you know, when she's at school and she wants to listen to music, it's me, it's Taylor Swift,
Let's go.
it's Dad, it's Beyonce, and those are the top 3. So I'm still hanging in there, and she loves the song. She does love the song.
Awesome stuff. Taylor Swift, Sean McConnell, Beyonce. There's a playlist for you, huh?
Coming to a town near you.
That's awesome stuff.
Look in the eyes of a new child, a sign, a name, a number. Make God a good and a bad guy, just so they always wonder. Brush up your Beowulf and Shakespeare, timetables and long division. Overdose the ones and the zeros, dismantle their intuition. Never believe in my child, saddle up into the sun. Long as you keep your heart wild, well, the West has never won. All of my heroes are crazy. Progress is always heretical. Don't let them get to you, baby. I know you already know. But never believe in my child, saddle up into the sun. Long as you keep your heart wild, well, the West has never won. The West has never won. No, the West has never won. Never believe it, my child. Saddle up into the sun. Long as you keep your heart wild, well, the West has never won. The West has never won. No, the West has never won.
All right, so I have a bunch of fun segments we're going to do with Sean. It's called Off the Rails. I'm also going to introduce a new segment that I'm really excited about that's going to put Sean on the spot, and we're going to lead off with that. We use these for little TikToks and shorts and stuff, Sean. All right, here we go. We're going to put Sean right on the spot. The first segment is called Top 5. 600 episodes. I've never done this before.
I'm scared.
You should be, because I just came up with this, and it's diabolical. As a songwriter, what do you think are your top 5 best songs?
Oh, wow, you're evil.
Yes.
Okay, off the top of my head, I'm gonna go Secondhand Smoke. Nothing Anymore. I'm gonna go, I mean, Skin would probably be in there. I have so many songs I'm thinking about. I feel like a song of mine called Somewhere Beautiful has to be in there because
I love that song. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And then number 5. These would all be different tomorrow, probably.
Probably, yeah.
I'm gonna go with The Other Side.
I love it.
Song called.
That's also a great song. So, as part of this, if you guys are seeing this out there on your social media, comment down below your favorite Sean McConnell songs. See how we do that? We get more people to listen. Smart.
Yeah, I'll point like everyone does. Comment down below.
There, yeah. And if it changes for Sean, I expect you to comment what the changes are since we talked.
I'll check in every day and I'll update my.
Okay, there you go.
My favorite.
All right, next segment's called Impactful. This is always my favorite question of the interview. Can you name 3 people that impacted your life in some way? And then tell us the biggest thing you learned from each of those 3 people.
Oh my gosh! Wow. I mean, I can't not say my wife, Mary Susan, who's the biggest impact on my life on the daily. She just reminds me that everything's not so serious, that I'm loved, and that life is fun, and those are very important things to hold on to in this world.
Absolutely.
We've already talked about her, but I don't know who I'd be without my daughter and the everyday example of what present looks like, being present in the present moment. And that's a huge thing. You say 3 or 5?
3, just 3.
I'm trying to think of someone not in my family for this one. Influence.
Not influence, impact.
Impact. That's a distinction. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with a friend of mine, Justin Tockett, because I work with him so often and we're often together, whether we're in the same room or we're working separately. And he's not only impacted me career-wise as an engineer, as a musician, but also, 15, 16, 17 years now, you look up and you're really good friends with somebody, and he definitely impacts me on a daily basis as a friend, someone in this world to, it's a huge thing to be able to just text a buddy, even if something's hilarious, and know they're going to hit you back and be like, dude, that's fucking hilarious. How's it going today? How's life?
And having that truth speaker in your corner too, that'll tell you when something sucks, like we talked about earlier. That's important too, right?
100%.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest ones.
Yep. Sorry, I have a doggy door, so they clearly got out. Anyway,
man, no.
I can edit that out later as long as it doesn't bother you.
We love dogs.
All right. So next question is, can you name one artist you wish the whole world knew about?
Let's see. Yeah. There's a few. I'm gonna there's an artist that I've produced named Taylor McCall, who's someone I just really, really believe in and think he's very gifted in many ways. And we've done a couple records together. I've written a lot of songs with him. I would put him in that category for sure. I think that people need to hear what he's doing.
That's a very selfish segment for me because I love to learn of new people. So I always find like the best people to ask about great songwriters and great artists is great songwriters and great artists, right? So
absolutely.
So next segment's called What the Heck? This is more of a silly kind of segment. It's kind of a game show style segment where I will just ask you 5 random questions, and your role is to just tell me the first thing that hits your mind when you hear the question.
Okay.
All right. So number 1, if your pet could talk, what would it say about you?
If my pet could talk, it would probably say slow down.
Slow down. All right. Number 2, you're going into battle and you can ride on any animal, but whatever animal you choose is going to be the size of a horse. So if it's smaller than a horse, it's going to be blown up. If it's bigger than a horse, it will be shrunk down. What animal are you choosing?
Do these animals have to still be alive?
No.
Like we could go dinosaurs, you're saying?
Sure. If you want a dead animal on your ride into battle, I mean, that's up to you.
That's a good point. Man, you know what? I'm gonna go with if I'm riding into battle. Is this animal I'm on? Are we like tight? They're not gonna turn on
No,
me.
they're
Like
not
we're.
going to turn on you. They're 100% domesticated to you.
I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with like a lion. I'm gonna
Okay.
go with a cat of some kind, a cat of prey.
See, so my answer will always be scorpion. I don't care. Like, just.
Woo! A
All right.
big scorpion.
Yes.
I think you just killed my lion.
Yeah, you just have claws. You have a freaking tail that's full of venom. Come on, man. You can't beat that. All
Man,
right.
now you've got me needing to use my imagination more. Now
Yeah.
I'm gonna rethink
A
it.
lion's a great answer. I mean, let's be fair. All right. Number 3. This could be very controversial. I could get you on this one, Sean.
Okay.
Are you cool with pineapple on pizza?
Pineapple on pizza. You know, yeah, I think I'm cool with it, but it's got to be really perfect. It can't be like soggy and adding water to the pizza. Like it's got to be almost charred and like a little burnt and like really done the right way.
Yep. He's from the north, y'all. We're on the same wavelength. All right. All right, number 4. What are you most afraid of?
Oh, damn. Most afraid of losing the people I love, losing, in whatever way that means, not being on this plane with them at some point. That's a hard one.
All right, number 5 and last question. You are alive. This is going to take your imagination now, Sean. You're alive in the 1920s, and you just run into a stranger who is a time traveler with a smartphone, and a Nickelback ringtone comes on his phone. What is your reaction?
I probably go, never made it out of wild man.
Let's go. That is TikTok worthy, y'all. That's why we do this. All right. That was What the Heck with Sean McConnell. Awesome stuff. You guys need to come to the show March 7th, 7 p.m.
Yeah, come on out.
Let's see here. Next one's called Song Obsession. What song are you obsessed with right now? That is not something that you wrote or performed.
I'm obsessed with. So Ray, the song "Where the Hell Is My Husband" by Ray.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't stop listening to it. I know like the wave is over, but it's not for me. I'm obsessed with that song. Like the production of it, I love it so much. And
are you like when you hear songs? Do you look at songs like a working artist or a producer or whatever?
For better or for worse, I often think of them as a producer and an engineer sometimes. Yeah. And a songwriter. But yeah, when I'm listening to the records, I love entering a world of a record with headphones on and just walking around and seeing what the people have built. I just love that about.
Man, that's gonna be super different than just a regular person like me listening to songs and being stupid about it, right?
Man, I mean, honestly, I'm not just saying this, but I think that it's a superpower to be able to. One of the biggest jobs of a producer, I feel, is to be able to listen and not pick something apart, but how does it hit your body? How do you respond to it on an emotional level? And I do have to check myself that I'm not being so technical that I'm missing
the feel.
Something beautiful. So I think that being if you want to call it an average listener, I think that's a very big superpower.
Awesome. All right, next segment. I feel like we can all kind of look back in time and see that one moment or event in time that kind of led us on the path to where we ended up. Can you kind of see what that was for you?
Wow, one moment. And as far as just in life in general or music?
Yep, just whatever you take it as.
One moment.
It's like if this didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am today kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, people might put their finger in their mouth when I say this, but I met my wife when I was 20 years old, and I just can't imagine who I'd be without, and I'm not saying that just because I love her, but she really does speak truth into me, and I feel like we have a very honest relationship, and it's a lot of what I'm talking about in Skin, is, so meeting her that young, especially, changed the complete trajectory of what my life would have been, and someone who has been such a life speaker to me this whole time. So I don't know if I could pick someone else.
Great stuff. All right, the definition of gratitude, guys, is the quality of being thankful or the readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. So, Sean, what are the 3 things you feel like you're the most grateful for?
Can you repeat the definitions you just said?
Sure. Gratitude is the quality of being thankful or the readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness.
Let's see. I'm grateful that I get to say I love what I do. It's a big one. Waking up and making records and going on the road and singing songs that I believe in and getting to make a living. I'm very, very, very grateful for that. I'm really grateful for our home and we have like a little farm here outside of Nashville and some woods, and it's a place in the world that me and my wife and my daughter all feel very at peace when we're here, and not everybody has that. And I'm grateful for our home. I'm grateful that I'm surrounded by people who truly love me on a real level.
Man, what a great word, peace. Grateful for peace. I love it, man. Last segment could be the hardest one for you to answer, though. Sometimes it is. It's very self-reflective. The segment is called, Who Do You Think You Are? So, who is Sean McConnell?
Wow, bro. Oh, wait, hold on, my phone. Sorry.
Perfect.
You asked such a big question, it took my phone out.
Just an earthquake, yes.
Man, you know what? I'm going to answer it like this. I think that Sean McConnell is a physical incarnation of what my spirit is on this trip around the sun, and he's a lucky guy in a lot of respects. And I definitely feel like we are spirit taking a physical experience as opposed to the opposite way around, and so that kind of informs where I feel like I am in this whole story. And so I think I'm a character in this trip around the sun of this world.
I love it, man.
That's how I feel.
Good stuff, guys. You need to check out SeanMcConnell.com. It's McConnell, all double letters. It's super simple. We're going to put it in the description below. Awesome merch store there, which includes the aforementioned 15-year anniversary new vinyl for Saints, Thieves, and Liars. You can also pick up vinyl for the record we've talked about a lot, which is called Skin. I'm going to ask you about Skin vinyl here in a second after we're done. But you guys make sure you're checking all of that stuff out. The social media is Facebook is at official Sean McConnell. Instagram is at Sean_McConnell. YouTube is Sean McConnell. And X is at Sean_McConnell. So you guys make sure you follow along on your favorite platform. And check out a show. And for those of you guys that are listening in the 903 in the East Texas area, listen, you got 9 days until this man's going to be right here on a stage right here in your area. So come out and say hi, not just to Sean, but to us. We'll be there as well. Sean, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Thank you. I truly, truly enjoyed this conversation. Thanks for having me.
Hey, this is Zach Maberry. Thanks for tuning in to the Boston Chris Show.